Marcus Donovan stands in his $4.8 million Manhattan penthouse at 10:47 p.m., looking down at the city lights, feeling successful, powerful, untouchable. 47 years old, self-made millionaire, CEO of his own investment firm. He's earned everything he has, or so he tells himself. But when impossible cold fills his penthouse and divine light materializes, Jesus Christ appears. And between them, a vision forms that makes Marcus's blood run cold. His younger brother Daniel, homeless on the streets just 7 blocks away, holding a cardboard sign reading, "Anything helps. God bless." The brother Marcus has walked past dozens of times without helping. The brother he pretended not to recognize. "I was hungry and you gave me nothing to eat," Jesus says. "I was naked and you did not clothe me. And when you ignored your own brother on the street, you ignored me." You're probably wondering how a self-made millionaire who'd escaped poverty, who'd built a successful investment firm from nothing, who lived in luxury overlooking Manhattan, ended up being confronted by Jesus Christ about ignoring his own homeless brother just blocks away. How a man who attended church every Sunday, who tithed faithfully, who considered himself a good Christian, had completely missed the central message of Jesus' teachings about wealth, poverty, and compassion. Let me take you back to when Marcus and Daniel Donovan were brothers growing up poor in the Bronx. And how, when Marcus escaped poverty through ambition and ruthless focus, he left Daniel behind and eventually stopped seeing his struggling brother as a person worthy of help.
If you or someone you know is experiencing abuse, pause this video. I'm putting resources in the description that could save a life.
There are approximately 580,000 homeless people in America on any given night. Many are veterans. Many struggle with mental illness or addiction. Many have families who've given up on them or whom they've lost contact with through shame and circumstances. This is the story of one of those homeless people, Daniel Donovan, 43 years old, living on the streets of Manhattan. And it's the story of his older brother Marcus, who had the resources to help but chose not to, who walked past his own brother's suffering dozens of times while justifying his inaction with comfortable lies. Marcus Donovan was 47 years old, founder and CEO of Donovan Capital Management, an investment firm managing $300 million in assets. He personally earned approximately $3.2 million annually. He lived in a penthouse in Tribeca, drove a Mercedes, wore Rolex watches, belonged to exclusive clubs. He'd grown up poor, desperately poor in the Bronx with his younger brother Daniel. Their father had abandoned them when Marcus was 8 and Daniel was 4. Their mother worked 3 jobs to keep them fed but died of cancer when Marcus was 18 and Daniel was 14. Marcus had escaped poverty through intelligence, determination, and ruthless focus. He'd gotten scholarships, worked multiple jobs, graduated from NYU, started at an investment firm, eventually launched his own company. He'd pulled himself out of poverty through sheer force of will. Daniel hadn't made it out. He'd struggled after their mother's death, fell into drug use, couldn't hold jobs, eventually ended up homeless. For the last 5 years, Daniel had been living on Manhattan streets, panhandling, sleeping in shelters or doorways, barely surviving. And Marcus knew his brother was homeless. He knew Daniel panhandled on the corner of Church and Leonard just 7 blocks from Marcus's office. He'd walked past Daniel dozens of times. Sometimes Daniel recognized him and called out, "Marcus, Marcus, it's me, Danny. Can you help me?" And Marcus would walk past, would ignore him, would pretend not to hear, would tell himself, "He made his choices. I made mine. I'm not responsible for his failures. I earned my success." He squandered his opportunities. Marcus attended Riverside Church every Sunday. He tithed, gave 10% of his income faithfully, approximately $320,000 annually to the church. He served on the finance committee. He considered himself a good Christian, a faithful steward of blessings God had given him. But he walked past his homeless brother without helping, and justified it with scripture twisted to fit his conscience. If anyone is not willing to work, let him not eat. 2 Thessalonians 3:10. I worked hard for my success. Daniel needs to work hard too. On the 18th of November 2023, a cold November evening after Marcus had walked past Daniel twice that day, Without acknowledging him, Jesus Christ appeared in Marcus's penthouse, and he showed Marcus something that would destroy every justification he'd built. He showed Marcus the story of the rich man and Lazarus from Luke 16, but made it personal, made Marcus experience Lazarus's torment, made him understand that his brother Daniel was his Lazarus, and that ignoring the poor, especially his own brother, put Marcus on the path to the same eternal torment as the rich man who'd ignored Lazarus. This is a story about wealth and poverty, about brothers divided by success, about a Christian who'd mastered religious performance but missed the heart of Jesus' teachings, about ignoring the suffering of those closest to us while congratulating ourselves on our charitable giving. And it's about how Jesus confronts us when we use his name while ignoring his clearest commands. Feed the hungry, clothe the naked, care for the least of these.
Before we continue, if you believe in second chances and the power of faith, type restore in the comments right now. Let your voice be the spark of hope for a family in need. Show the world your faith in action.
Marcus and Daniel Donovan grew up in a 2-bedroom apartment in the South Bronx. Their father, Thomas, had been a construction worker who struggled with alcoholism. When Marcus was 8 and Daniel was 4, Thomas abandoned the family, just didn't come home one day, left no note, no explanation, no support. Their mother, Elena, worked 3 jobs to keep them fed, cleaning office buildings at night, retail during the day, weekend shifts wherever she could find them. She was rarely home. Marcus, as the older brother, essentially raised Daniel. They were poor, really poor. Food stamps and donated clothes poor. Eating cereal for dinner sometimes poor. Heat turned off in winter poor. But Elena had dreams for her boys. Education is the way out. She'd tell Marcus, "You're smart, Mijo. You can go to college. You can escape this." Marcus took those words to heart. He studied relentlessly, got straight A's, won academic awards, saw education as his ticket out of poverty, and he was desperate to escape. Daniel was different, sensitive, artistic, less academically driven. He struggled in school, was bullied, found escape in drawing and music. Marcus would get frustrated. "Danny, you need to focus. You need grades to get out of here. Not everyone needs to be like you." Daniel would respond, "I'll find my own way." When Marcus was 18 and Daniel was 14, Elena was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. She'd smoked her whole life, the only stress relief she could afford. The diagnosis came too late for treatment. She died 6 months later. Marcus had just graduated high school with a full scholarship to NYU. Daniel was a freshman in high school, struggling. At Elena's funeral, Marcus made a promise over her casket. "Mom, I'll take care of Danny. I'll make sure he's okay. I'll get us both out of poverty. I promise." But keeping that promise proved harder than Marcus expected. Marcus went to NYU on scholarship. He worked 3 jobs while taking full course. Lowe determined to succeed, to honor his mother's sacrifice, to escape poverty forever. Daniel stayed in the Bronx, living with their Aunt Rosa. But Aunt Rosa was elderly, overwhelmed. Daniel, grieving his mother and without his brother's support, began to spiral. He fell in with the wrong crowd. Started using drugs, marijuana at first, then harder substances. Dropped out of high school at 16, bounced between jobs, couldn't hold any for long. Marcus would visit occasionally holidays, summer breaks. He'd lecture Daniel, "Danny, you're throwing your life away. Mom died so we could have better lives. You're wasting her sacrifice. You left me," Daniel would respond. "You went off to your fancy college and left me alone. I'm building a future," Marcus would say, "for both of us. When I'm successful, I'll help you. But you need to help yourself first." The brothers grew distant. Marcus focused on success, graduating, getting his finance job, climbing the corporate ladder. Daniel continued his downward spiral, more drugs, petty crimes, eventually harder drugs. By 2005, Marcus was 29, working at a prestigious investment firm, earning 6 figures. He'd rented a nice apartment in Manhattan, was dating a doctor, had completely left behind his Bronx poverty. Daniel was 25, homeless for the first time. He'd burned through every relationship, every job opportunity, every chance. Heroin had destroyed what the earlier drugs hadn't. Daniel showed up at Marcus's office one day, desperate. "Marcus, I need help. I need rehab. I can't do this anymore. Marcus looked at his younger brother, thin, dirty, clearly high, a shell of the kid he'd once protected, and felt disgust, embarrassment, anger. You need to help yourself, Marcus said coldly. I can't fix your life for you, Danny. I've offered help before. You refused it. You chose drugs. Now you need to choose recovery. I'm choosing it now, Daniel pleaded. But I can't afford rehab. I need your help. Please, Marcus. You're my brother. I'll give you information about free programs, Marcus said. But I'm not giving you money. You'll just use it for drugs. Daniel, you made your choices. Now live with them. Daniel's face crumpled. Mom made me promise to look after you. You promised to look after me. What happened to that? I looked after you, Marcus said defensively, for years, and you squandered every opportunity. At some point, you're responsible for your own life. Daniel left. Marcus told himself he'd done the right thing. Tough love, not enabling addiction. But he'd really just chosen his comfortable life over his brother's desperate need. For 13 years, Marcus and Daniel had minimal contact. Marcus knew Daniel was homeless, had heard from relatives, had seen him on streets occasionally. But Marcus avoided those areas, avoided situations where he might encounter his brother. Marcus's life flourished. He left the investment firm to start his own company, Donovan Capital Management. It succeeded beyond his dreams. By 2018, he was managing hundreds of millions, earning millions personally, living the life he dreamed of as a poor kid in the Bronx. He got married to Rachel, the doctor he'd been dating. They had no children, both too focused on careers. They lived in a luxury penthouse, traveled internationally, enjoyed the fruits of Marcus's success. Marcus also became more religious. He started attending Riverside Church regularly, got involved in leadership, tithed faithfully. Christianity gave him a framework to understand his success. God had blessed him. His wealth was evidence of God's favor. His escape from poverty was divine providence. And his brother's continued poverty? Well, that was Daniel's fault. Personal responsibility. Poor choices. Not Marcus's problem. In 2018, Marcus's office moved to a building on Church Street, and Daniel panhandled on the corner of Church and Leonard, just 7 blocks away. Marcus would walk past his brother regularly, sometimes twice a day, morning commute, lunch walks. The first time, Daniel recognized him. Marcus, it's Danny. Please, can you help me? I haven't eaten in 2 days. Marcus walked past. Didn't make eye contact. Pretended not to hear. His heart was racing. His brother right there, suffering. But Marcus told himself, if I acknowledge him, he'll want money. He'll want me to fix his life. I can't do that. He needs to fix himself. The next day, same corner. Marcus, please, I know you can hear me. I'm your brother. Just a few dollars. Please. Marcus walked past again, started taking a different route to avoid that corner. But sometimes, he'd forget and walk past anyway. Sometimes Daniel would see him and call out. Sometimes other homeless people would call out, spare change, anything, helps? And Marcus would walk past them all. Expensive suit, Rolex watch, leather briefcase, heading to his office to manage millions while people starved on the same streets. In church on Sundays, Marcus would sing worship songs, would tithe his $25,000 check, would hear sermons about God's blessings, would feel good about himself, successful, faithful, blessed. And on Monday, he'd walk past his homeless brother without helping. The 18th of November 2023 started like any other Sunday for Marcus. Wake up at 7 a.m. in his penthouse. Expensive coffee, New York Times, preparation for church. At 9:30 a.m., Marcus and Rachel attended Riverside Church. Beautiful building, wealthy congregation, professional worship team, powerful sermon. The sermon that Sunday was about stewardship, about being faithful with what God gives us, about using our resources wisely. Pastor Mitchell preached, God has blessed this congregation abundantly. Many of you have been given much successful careers, financial, resources, influence. God didn't give you those blessings just for yourself. He gave them so you could be His hands and feet in the world. He gave them so you could help others. Marcus nodded along, felt the sermon was affirming. God had blessed him, and he was being faithful. He tithed. He served on committees. He was a good steward. The offering came. Marcus put his check in the plate, $6,200. His weekly tithe based on his income. Felt good about his generosity. Watched the check go into the plate with satisfaction. After service, Marcus chatted with other wealthy members, discussed their businesses, their investments, their blessings. Everyone congratulated Marcus on another successful quarter for his firm. "God is so good," Marcus said. "I'm incredibly blessed." "You've worked hard," another member said. "You deserve your success." "Well, it's God's blessing," Marcus said with false humility. "I'm just a faithful steward." At lunch with Rachel afterward, she mentioned, "That sermon was powerful, about helping others with our blessings." "Absolutely," Marcus agreed. "That's why we tithe. That's why we're involved at church. We're doing our part." "Have you ever thought about doing more?" Rachel asked carefully. "Maybe volunteering at a shelter? Or mentoring at-risk youth?" Marcus felt defensive. "I give hundreds of thousands to the church annually. That's more than most people's entire salary. I think I'm doing plenty." "I just meant," Rachel started. "I know what you meant," Marcus interrupted. "But Rachel, I work 80 hours a week building this business. I tithe faithfully. I serve on committees. I can't do everything. The church uses my donations to help people. That's how I help through financial support." Rachel dropped it. But the comment bothered Marcus. He did help people. His tithe-funded church programs, missionary work, outreach. He was generous, faithful, a good Christian. Monday morning, November 19th, Marcus left his penthouse at 7:45 a.m. for his walk to the office. Crisp November day, beautiful sunrise, feeling good. He turned onto Church Street, and there was Daniel. His brother sat against a building, thin, dirty, holding a cardboard sign, "Homeless vet, anything helps, God bless you." Daniel wasn't a veteran, he'd never served. But Marcus knew homeless people sometimes lied on signs to get more donations. Just another example of Daniel's moral compromises. As Marcus approached, Daniel looked up. Their eyes met. Recognition flashed across Daniel's face. "Marcus," Daniel said, his voice hoarse. "Marcus, please, I'm so hungry. I haven't eaten in 3 days. Just a few dollars. Please, brother." Marcus felt a surge of emotions. Guilt, anger, disgust, compassion, quickly suppressed. He looked at his brother, gaunt, dirty, suffering, and felt primarily embarrassment. Embarrassment that his homeless brother might be seen by his business colleagues. "I can't help you," Marcus said quietly, walking past. "Marcus, I'm your brother," Daniel called after him. "Please, I'm starving." Marcus walked faster, didn't look back, told himself, he'll just use money for drugs. I'd be enabling. This is tough love. He needs to hit rock bottom and choose recovery himself. At his office, Marcus tried to focus on work, but kept thinking about Daniel's face, the desperation, the hunger. "He's manipulating me," Marcus told himself, playing on guilt, using the brother card. "I can't fall for it." At lunch, Marcus went to an expensive restaurant, ordered a $45 steak, $15 wine, sat there eating while his brother starved 7 blocks away. Walking back to the office, Marcus passed Daniel again. This time Daniel was lying down, not asking anyone for money, just sleeping on the sidewalk. Marcus looked at him. For just a moment, he saw not a homeless addict but Danny, his little brother, the kid he'd promised Mom he'd take care of. Then someone from Marcus's office walked by. "Hey, Marcus, ready for this afternoon's meeting?" Marcus quickly looked away from Daniel. "Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it." They walked to the office together. Marcus didn't look back.
If this moment is touching your heart, share your story or a prayer request in the comments below. Someone watching may need the encouragement only you can give. Tag a friend who could use this message of hope today.
That evening, Marcus had a finance committee meeting at Riverside Church. They discussed the budget, allocations, charitable giving. "We gave $50,000 to the homeless shelter this quarter," the treasurer reported. "That covers meals and beds for approximately 3,000 people." "Excellent," Marcus said. "That's exactly the kind of outreach we should be doing." After the meeting, Pastor Mitchell pulled Marcus aside. "Marcus, I wanted to talk to you about something." One of our members mentioned they saw you pass by a homeless man today who was calling you by name. Do you know him? Marcus felt defensive. No. I mean, he might think he knows me, but he called you brother, Pastor Mitchell said gently. Marcus, is he your actual brother? Marcus hesitated. Then, my younger brother Daniel, he's been homeless for years, drug addict, made terrible choices. I've tried to help him before, but he just uses any money for drugs. Have you tried helping him recently? Pastor Mitchell asked. No, Marcus admitted, because it doesn't work. He needs to help himself. I can't fix his life for him. Pastor Mitchell was quiet for a moment. Marcus, Jesus told a story about a rich man and a poor man named Lazarus. The rich man lived in luxury while Lazarus starved at his gate. When they both died, the rich man went to Torment while Lazarus went to Abraham's side. Do you know why? Because the rich man didn't help Lazarus, Marcus said, uncomfortable with where this was going. Exactly, Pastor Mitchell said. Marcus, you give generously to the church, but there's a starving man, your own brother, 7 blocks from your office, and you walk past him while wearing a Rolex. What do you think Jesus would say about that? Jesus also said not to cast pearls before swine, Marcus said defensively, quoting scripture. And Paul said if a man won't work, let him not eat. Daniel won't work. He's chosen drugs over responsibility. At some point, he's accountable for his own choices. Is he choosing not to work? Pastor Mitchell asked. Or is he trapped in addiction and homelessness with no way out? Marcus, I'm not saying you should enable addiction, but maybe there's a middle ground between giving him drug money and pretending he doesn't exist. Marcus left the meeting angry. Who was Pastor Mitchell to judge him? Marcus gave hundreds of thousands to the church. He was faithful, generous, a good steward. And Daniel was a drug addict who'd squandered every opportunity, not Marcus's responsibility. But the conversation bothered him. The story of the rich man and Lazarus bothered him, because he knew deep down, below all his justifications, he knew Pastor Mitchell was right. That night, Marcus stood in his penthouse looking down at the city lights. Millions of lights, millions of people. Somewhere down there, his brother was sleeping on a street corner. Marcus pulled out his phone, looked at his bank account. $847,000 in checking alone. More in savings, investments, retirement accounts. Millions total. He could help Daniel. Easily. $10,000 would get Daniel into a good rehab program, housing assistance afterward, therapy, support. Marcus had that money, could spare it without noticing. But he told himself, it won't work. He'll relapse. I'll waste the money. He needs to want recovery for himself, not have it handed to him. The comfortable lies. The justifications. Marcus closed his bank app, poured himself expensive scotch, tried to feel good about his life, his success, his wealth, his blessings, but he felt hollow, empty, like something fundamental was wrong. I'm a good Christian, Marcus said aloud to his empty penthouse. I tithe, I serve, I'm faithful. I've done everything right. But a small voice whispered back, when did you last feed the hungry, clothe the naked, visit the prisoner, care for the sick? I was your homeless brother and you walked past me. That's guilt talking, Marcus said firmly. Not God. I'm not responsible for Daniel's failures. But the voice persisted, and Marcus knew somewhere deep inside, past all his defenses, he knew he was wrong. At 10:47 p.m., as Marcus stood looking at the city lights, feeling hollow despite his success, the temperature in his penthouse dropped 40 degrees in an instant. The cold was instant and overwhelming. Marcus's breath became visible in his climate-controlled penthouse. Frost formed on his floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Manhattan. What? Marcus turned around and saw him. Golden light emanated from the corner of his living room. Not from any source, just light existing, growing, taking form. The light coalesced into a figure, a man in simple white robes that glowed from within. Not tall or physically imposing, but radiating an authority that made Marcus's knees weak. Jesus Christ stood in Marcus Donovan's luxury penthouse. This isn't possible, Marcus whispered. And yet I'm here, Jesus said, his voice filling the entire penthouse despite being spoken softly. Marcus Donovan, 47 years old, self-made millionaire, faithful tither, church leader, and the man who walks past his starving brother twice a day without helping. Marcus felt his defensiveness kick in immediately. Lord, I give hundreds of thousands to the church. I tithe faithfully. I serve on committees. I support ministries that help the poor. Stop, Jesus interrupted, his voice carrying absolute authority. You're about to explain why your charitable giving absolves you from actually helping the poor. Why writing checks means you don't need to feed the hungry or clothe the naked. Why giving money to institutions that help others means you can ignore your own brother starving on your street. I do help, Marcus protested. My tithes fund homeless shelters, food banks, outreach programs. Your tithes salve your conscience, Jesus said firmly. They let you feel generous while never actually seeing the poor, never touching them, never knowing their names, never letting their suffering inconvenience your comfortable life. He moved closer. Marcus wanted to back away but found himself unable to move. Do you know why I'm here? Jesus asked. Marcus shook his head, though terrible suspicions were forming. I'm here because Daniel prayed. Tonight, Jesus said. Your brother homeless, starving, lying on a street corner prayed. Do you know what he prayed? Marcus couldn't speak. He prayed, Jesus, I know I've made terrible mistakes. I know I'm a drug addict. I know I've failed, but I'm so hungry. I'm so cold. And my brother walked past me today, walked past me twice, wearing expensive clothes, living in luxury, and he won't help me. Does he hate me? Did I hurt him so badly he wants me to die? Jesus, please, I'm so hungry. Please help me. Tears formed in Marcus's eyes, but he fought them back, holding on to his justifications. That prayer, Jesus continued, came to heaven tonight, and I came here to answer it. Not by making you help Daniel, you have to choose that, but by showing you something you've been refusing to see. The eternal consequences of ignoring the poor while claiming to follow me. I don't ignore the poor, Marcus said desperately. You give money to institutions, Jesus interrupted, so you never have to actually encounter poverty, so you can feel generous without being inconvenienced. But Marcus, do you remember the story I told about the rich man and Lazarus? Yes, Marcus whispered. Then you remember how it ends, Jesus said. The rich man in torment, Lazarus in comfort, and the rich man begging for relief that will never come. Marcus, you're the rich man. Daniel is your Lazarus. And tonight, I'm going to show you where your comfortable Christianity leads. He reached toward Marcus's forehead. Marcus tried to pull away. Please, I'll help him. I'll go to him right now. Just don't. You've had 5 years, Jesus said firmly. 5 years of walking past your brother. 5 years of opportunities. You've chosen your wealth over his life every single day. Tonight, you don't get to choose. Tonight, you experience truth. His touch was inescapable. The moment Jesus' hand made contact, the penthouse disappeared. Marcus found himself transported to a scene from Luke 16 but personalized, visceral, real. He experienced life as the rich man from Jesus' parable, living in luxury fine clothes, sumptuous feasts every day, servants attending to every need, total comfort. And at the gate of his mansion, a poor man named Lazarus lay starving, covered in sores, begging for scraps from the rich man's table. But Marcus experienced this not as ancient history but as his current reality. The rich man was him, and Lazarus had Daniel's face. Through the rich man's perspective, Marcus felt the callous indifference, walking past Lazarus daily, seeing his suffering, feeling a twinge of discomfort quickly suppressed, telling himself, he's lazy, he made poor choices, I earned my wealth, not my problem. Marcus watched himself as the rich man feast on expensive food, while Lazarus starved just outside. Saw himself justifying, I give to the temple, I'm religious, I'm doing my part, and he felt the comfortable blindness, the ability to see suffering and not really see it, to acknowledge poverty's existence without letting it affect his life. The vision shifted. Both the rich man, Marcus, and Lazarus, Daniel, died. Marcus experienced death from the rich man's perspective and immediately found himself in torment. Not metaphorical torment, real, physical, spiritual agony, fire, burning, unquenchable thirst, desperate suffering with no relief possible. Through the rich man's eyes, Marcus looked up and saw Abraham's side paradise, comfort, And there, with Abraham, sat Lazarus, Daniel, comfortable, at peace. No more suffering. "Father Abraham," the rich man, Marcus called out, "have mercy on me. Send Lazarus to dip his finger in water and cool my tongue, because I am in agony in this flame." And Abraham responded. Marcus heard it clearly. "Son, remember that during your life you received your good things, while Lazarus received bad things. But now he is comforted here and you are in agony. And besides all this, between us and you a great chasm has been fixed, so that those who want to cross from here to you cannot, nor can anyone cross from there to us." Marcus felt the rich man's desperate realization. This is eternal, forever. No relief, no second chance, no way to undo the choices made during life. "Then I beg you, Father," the rich man said, "send Lazarus to my family, to warn them, so they don't end up in this place of torment." Abraham replied, "They have Moses and the prophets. Let them listen to them." "No, Father Abraham," the rich man said desperately, "but if someone from the dead goes to them, they will repent." And Abraham's final words, "If they do not listen to Moses and the prophets, they will not be convinced even if someone rises from the dead." The vision shifted again. Now Marcus was experiencing his actual life, but from a perspective that revealed eternal reality. He saw himself walking past Daniel, but now he saw what he'd been blind to. Every time he passed his brother without helping, he was passing Jesus. He heard Jesus' words from Matthew 25. "I was hungry and you gave me nothing to eat. I was thirsty and you gave me nothing to drink. I was a stranger and you did not invite me in. I needed clothes and you did not clothe me. When did we see you hungry or thirsty or a stranger or needing clothes?" the righteous asked. And Jesus' answer, "Whatever you did not do for one of the least of these, you did not do for me." Marcus saw Daniel's face and superimposed over it Jesus' face. They were the same. "Your brother is me," Jesus' voice echoed. "Every time you walked past him, you walked past me. Every meal you ate while he starved, you ate while I starved. Every night you slept in luxury while he shivered on concrete, you chose comfort while I suffered." The vision shifted violently. Now Marcus was experiencing life from Daniel's perspective. He felt the cold of sleeping on concrete, the hunger not missing a meal hungry, but days without food hungry, the pain of withdrawals, the shame of begging, the hopelessness of addiction with no resources for recovery. He experienced the moment when Daniel saw Marcus walking toward him, hope rising. "That's my brother. He'll help me. He's successful. He has money. He'll see I'm suffering and help." And then experiencing the crushing disappointment when Marcus walked past. The realization, "My own brother hates me. I'm so worthless, even my family won't help." Marcus felt Daniel's despair. The thought, "I'm going to die on this street, and my brother, my own brother, will walk past my corpse without caring." He felt Daniel's prayers. "Jesus, I know I'm a failure, but I'm so hungry. I'm so cold. Please help me. Please make my brother see me. Please." And he felt Daniel's heartbreak when those prayers seemed unanswered. When Marcus continued walking past, day after day, year after year, the vision shifted to show eternal reality, not future, but what was already set in motion by Marcus's choices. Jesus showed Marcus two paths. Path 1, continue as he'd been. Marcus saw himself continuing to walk past Daniel, continuing to prioritize wealth and comfort, continuing to salve his conscience with tithes while ignoring actual suffering. He saw Daniel dying on the street, hypothermia, malnutrition, overdose, alone, abandoned by his only family. He saw himself at Daniel's funeral, brief, poorly attended. Marcus showing up, crying, telling people, "I tried to help him. He wouldn't accept help. I did everything I could." But Jesus showed Marcus the truth. You did nothing. You had resources, opportunity, and relationship, and you chose wealth over your brother's life. And then Jesus showed Marcus his own death, years in the future, successful, wealthy, surrounded by expensive things, and then judgment, standing before Christ, hearing those devastating words, "I was hungry, and you gave me nothing to eat. But Lord, I gave hundreds of thousands to the church. You gave money to avoid actually helping. You tithed to salve your conscience. But when I was actually hungry in Abin, your brother's body, you walked past me. And the eternal consequence, separation from God, the rich man's torment, forever. Path 2, choose change. Jesus showed Marcus an alternate path. Marcus going to Daniel tomorrow, really helping not just money, but relationship, rehab, support, restoration. It wouldn't be easy. It wouldn't be quick. Daniel would relapse. There would be setbacks, but Marcus would stay committed, would choose his brother over his comfort. He saw Daniel in recovery, struggling but healing, and Marcus beside him not as a wealthy benefactor dispensing charity, but as a brother walking alongside suffering. He saw Daniel eventually getting clean, finding purpose, helping other addicts, becoming the man he was meant to be. And he saw Marcus's own transformation, becoming less obsessed with wealth, more focused on people, using his resources to actually help rather than just donating from a distance. And then Marcus's eventual death in this timeline, still comfortable, still blessed, but different, more Christ-like, and standing before Jesus at judgment, hearing, "Well done, I was hungry and you fed me, I was naked and you clothed me. When you helped your brother the least of these, you helped me." The choice, the vision ended. Marcus was back in his penthouse, on his knees, sobbing. "Which path will you choose?" Jesus asked, his voice both compassionate and demanding. "Continue walking past your brother, salving your conscience with tithes while ignoring my clearest commands? Or will you actually follow me, not just in religious performance, but in sacrificial love?" "I'll help him," Marcus gasped. "I'll go to him right now. Tonight. I'll do whatever it takes." "It's nearly 11 p.m., Jesus said. "Daniel is sleeping in a doorway 7 blocks from here. If you go right now tonight, immediately, you'll find him. If you wait until tomorrow, you'll find excuses. You'll rationalize. You'll talk yourself out of it." Jesus began to fade. "Marcus, you've built a comfortable Christianity, church attendance, tithes, religious performance, all while ignoring the poor. Tonight, that ends. You either become my actual disciple, feeding the hungry, clothing the naked, caring for the least of these, or you continue on the path to the rich man's torment." "How do I help him?" Marcus asked desperately. "How do I fix this?" "By going to him, right now, bringing him to your home, getting him into detox and rehab, not the free program, the good one your money can actually provide, walking with him through recovery, restoring relationship, choosing brotherhood over wealth when they conflict." "My wife has a medical degree," Jesus interrupted. "She can help. Or if she refuses, you'll discover whether your marriage is based on Christ's love or on comfort." "But Marcus, you can't serve both God and money. You can't claim to follow me while ignoring the poor. Choose." And he was gone, leaving Marcus alone in his penthouse, but not the same Marcus who'd been there 30 minutes earlier. Marcus didn't change out of his pajamas, threw on a coat over them, grabbed his wallet, and ran out of his penthouse. Rachel, in bed reading, called after him. "Marcus, where are you going?" "To find my brother," Marcus yelled back, already in the hallway. He ran 7 blocks, past late-night restaurants, bars, closed shops, his expensive slippers getting soaked and dirty, looking desperately for Daniel, Church, and Leonard, the corner where Daniel usually panhandled. Empty now. "No," Marcus said desperately. "He has to be here." Jesus said he's sleeping in a doorway. "Where?" He looked around frantically, saw several doorways, some occupied by sleeping homeless people. Marcus approached each one. "Daniel? Danny? Are you here?" Most ignored him. One man said, "Who's asking?" "I'm looking for my brother, Daniel Donovan, 43, about 5'10", thin. Danny's in the alcove on Leonard," the man said, pointing, "near the subway entrance. But man, let him sleep. Don't mess with him." Marcus ran to the alcove, and there, lying on cardboard, covered with a thin, dirty blanket, shivering in the November cold, was Daniel. "Danny," Marcus said, his voice breaking. "Danny, wake up, it's Marcus." Daniel stirred, confused, saw his brother kneeling beside him in pajamas and a coat, thought he was dreaming. "Marcus," Daniel's voice was hoarse, weak. "Yeah, it's me. I'm here. I'm so sorry. I should have helped you years ago. I should never have walked past you. I'm here now. I'm going to help. You're coming home with me." Daniel tried to process. His brother, who'd ignored him for years, was here, crying, saying he was taking him home. "Is this real?" Daniel asked. It's real, Marcus said. Jesus appeared to me tonight, showed me what I've been doing to you, showed me I was the rich man and you were Lazarus, and I won't keep living like that. You're coming home. Tonight. Now. He helped Daniel up. His brother was so thin, so weak, could barely stand. Marcus supported him, practically carrying him, back toward his penthouse. 7 blocks that felt like miles. People stared, expensive neighborhood, well-dressed man carrying a homeless person. Marcus didn't care. Marcus got Daniel into his building. The doorman looked shocked. Mr. Donovan? Is everything? This is my brother, Marcus said firmly. He's coming to stay with us. Please never ask him to leave or question his presence here. Understood? Yes, sir, the doorman said, clearly confused. In the elevator, Daniel said, Marcus, I'm dirty. I smell. Your apartment is so nice. I can't. You're my brother. Marcus interrupted. And I've been a terrible brother. But that changes tonight. Rachel met them at the door, shocked. Marcus, what's going on? This is Daniel, my brother. He's homeless. I've been walking past him for years without helping. Jesus appeared to me tonight and showed me what I've been doing. Rachel, I need your help. He needs medical attention. He needs food. He needs... Bring him in, Rachel said immediately, her medical training kicking in. Let's get him warm, check his vitals, get some food in him. They brought Daniel into the penthouse, this luxury apartment worth millions now housing a homeless man. Rachel, despite her surprise, was professional and compassionate. She checked Daniel's vitals, concerning, assessed his condition, malnourished, dehydrated, likely withdrawal symptoms, made a plan. He needs to go to the hospital, Rachel said. He's severely malnourished and possibly septic from those sores on his legs. Then we go to the hospital, Marcus said. Right now. Marcus, it's nearly midnight. I don't care. My brother needs help. We're getting him help. Tonight. At the ER, Marcus stayed with Daniel, held his hand, talked to doctors, authorized treatment, used his excellent insurance to ensure Daniel got the best care. Daniel drifted in and out, still processing that this was real. Why now? Daniel asked, during a frenzy. Lucid moment. Marcus, you've ignored me for years. Why are you helping now? Because Jesus told me to, Marcus said honestly. He appeared in my apartment tonight. Showed me I was the rich man ignoring Lazarus. Showed me I was walking past him every time I walked past you. And Danny, I'm so sorry. I have no excuse. I was selfish. I prioritized my wealth and comfort over you. I failed you. I failed Mom's memory. I failed God. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life making it right. Daniel started crying. I thought you hated me. I didn't hate you, Marcus said, crying too. I was angry at you, disappointed, embarrassed, but I never hated you. And none of that justified ignoring you. I should have helped. Years ago. I'm sorry. I'm a drug addict, Daniel said. I'm going to need rehab. It's expensive. I don't care. Marcus interrupted. I'm wealthy, Danny. I can afford the best rehab program in the country. Money isn't the issue. You getting clean is all that matters. What if I relapse? Then we try again, Marcus said firmly. However many times it takes, I'm not walking away. Not anymore. You're my brother. And I'm going to be your brother. Really be your brother from now on. The first weeks, Daniel spent 3 days in the hospital, treated for malnutrition, infections, dehydration. Marcus and Rachel visited every day. After hospital discharge, Marcus enrolled Daniel in a top-tier addiction treatment program, $45,000, for 90 days. Marcus paid without hesitation. This is what I should have done 5 years ago, Marcus told Rachel. When he came to my office begging for rehab help, I told him to use free programs. I had the money. I just didn't want to spend it on him. Rachel squeezed his hand. You're helping him now. That's what matters. But helping wasn't simple or easy. Daniel struggled in rehab, had moments of wanting to leave, called Marcus crying, I can't do this. It's too hard. And Marcus would drive to the facility, sit with Daniel, encourage him. You can do this. I believe in you, and I'm not giving up on you. 3 months later, Daniel completed the 90-day program. Still fragile, still in early recovery, but clean. Marcus and Rachel had converted their spare room into Daniel's room. He moved in with them not temporarily, but as long as he needed. It was an adjustment. Daniel was used to streets, chaos, survival mode. Marcus and Rachel were used to quiet luxury. But they made it work. Daniel attended outpatient therapy and AA meetings. Marcus attended family sessions, working through years of dysfunction and hurt. "I'm so angry at you," Daniel said in one family session. "You left me. After Mom died, you left me. And when I needed help, you walked past me. For years." "I know," Marcus said, tears in his eyes. "You have every right to be angry. I failed you. I chose my success over you, and I can't undo that, but I can commit to doing better now. Why should I trust you?" Daniel asked. "What if you change your mind? What if I'm inconvenient again?" "Then you call me out," Marcus said. "Danny, I've asked Jesus to change me, to make me more like him, and part of that is keeping this commitment to you not when it's not easy, but especially when it's hard." 6 months later, testimony. 6 months after Jesus appeared, Marcus stood in Riverside Church giving testimony. Daniel sat in the front row 6 months clean, healthier, slowly rebuilding his life. 6 months ago, Marcus began. "I was a millionaire who walked past his homeless brother twice a day without helping. I tithed faithfully, served on church committees, considered myself a good Christian. But I was living exactly like the rich man in Jesus' parable about Lazarus, comfortable in my wealth while my brother starved at my gate." He shared the full story, Jesus appearing, showing him the rich man's torment, making him experience Daniel's suffering, demanding he choose between wealth and brotherhood. Jesus made it clear, I wasn't following him. I was following a comfortable version of Christianity that let me feel religious without actually caring for the poor. I gave money to institutions, so I never had to encounter poverty. I tithed to salve my conscience. But when Jesus was actually hungry in my brother's body, I walked past him. Marcus's voice broke. "I'm ashamed, deeply ashamed. I had resources, opportunity, and relationship. I could have helped Daniel years ago, but I chose my comfort over his life. I let him suffer on the streets while I lived in luxury. But Jesus offered me a choice. Continue on the path to the rich man's torment, or actually follow him by caring for the least of these. I chose to follow. Daniel is 6 months clean now, living with me and my wife, rebuilding his life. It's been hard. Recovery isn't linear, but it's been the most Christ-like thing I've ever done." After the testimony, multiple people approached Marcus, a wealthy businessman. "I have a sister who's homeless. I've been ignoring her, making the same excuses you made. Your testimony convicted me. I'm going to find her, help her, even if it's hard." A woman in tears. "My son is an addict. I cut him off 2 years ago. Tough love, I called it. But hearing your story, realizing Jesus sees my son when I refuse to, I need to reach out. I need to help him." Pastor Mitchell pulled Marcus aside after. "Marcus, thank you for your honesty, for being vulnerable about your failure. That testimony will save lives, maybe literally." 1 year later, 1 year after Jesus appeared, Marcus and Daniel walked through the same neighborhood where Daniel had been homeless. Daniel was 1 year clean. He'd gotten a job entry-level, but honest work. He was saving money to eventually move into his own place, though Marcus had told him there was no rush. They stopped at the corner where Daniel used to panhandle. "I spent so many days here," Daniel said quietly, "watching you walk past, thinking you hated me." "I'm so sorry," Marcus said for the 1,000th time. "I can't undo those years, but I can make sure they never happen again." They saw another homeless man on the corner, young, maybe mid-20s, holding a blaz sign, "Hungry. Anything helps." A year ago, Marcus would have walked past. Today, he stopped. "Hey man, what's your name?" "Tyler," the young man said, surprised anyone was asking. "Tyler, I'm Marcus. This is my brother Daniel. Have you eaten today?" "No, sir." "Come on," Marcus said. "Let's get you some food, and let's talk about what kind of help you need." Tyler looked skeptical but followed. Over lunch, Marcus learned Tyler's story: foster care, aged out of the system, no family, ended up homeless. Similar to so many others. "Tyler, how would you feel about going to a treatment facility?" Marcus asked. "Get clean, get job training, get back on your feet." "I can't afford that," Tyler said. "I can. Marcus said simply. I'm not going to fix your whole life. You have to do the work, but I can provide resources. Give you a chance. Tyler started crying. Why would you do that? You don't know me. Because a year ago, Jesus appeared to me and showed me I was ignoring the poor while claiming to follow him, Marcus said. And I'm not doing that anymore. You want help? I'll help. That evening, Marcus and Daniel helped Tyler get into a shelter and connected him with a treatment program. You're doing what I should have done for you years ago, Marcus told Daniel as they drove home. You're doing it now, Daniel said. For me, for Tyler, for others. Marcus, I've forgiven you. Jesus changed you, and now you're using what happened to us to help other people. That's redemption. 2 years later, 2 years after Jesus appeared, Marcus stood in his penthouse, the same place where Jesus had confronted him. But it looked different now, simpler. He'd sold most of his expensive artwork, furniture, luxury items, given the money to homeless outreach and addiction recovery programs. He still lived comfortably, still had the penthouse, still had money, but his priorities had fundamentally changed. He'd also reduced his work hours, closed some accounts, focused less on accumulating wealth, more on having time for people. Daniel, Tyler, who was 18 months clean now. Other recovering addicts Marcus mentored. His income had dropped from $3.2 million annually to about $800,000. Still wealthy. But the difference was going to help others instead of accumulating. Rachel had embraced the change too. She'd started volunteering at a free clinic. They'd become less focused on accumulating and more focused on giving. Daniel now had his own apartment, small but clean. He worked full-time, attended AA meetings, helped other recovering addicts. He and Marcus had dinner together twice a week. They'd never be able to erase the years of separation and hurt. But they'd rebuilt brotherhood stronger than before, built on honesty and commitment rather than obligation. Marcus's phone buzzed. A text from Pastor Mitchell. Marcus, there's a homeless man at the church asking for help. Says he's an addict. Wants to get clean. Can you talk to him? 2 years ago, Marcus would have said, I'm busy. Have the church help him. Today, Marcus texted back, I'll be there in 20 minutes. He grabbed his coat and headed out, not to accumulate more wealth, not to attend another committee meeting, but to actually be Jesus's hands and feet to someone in need. As he walked to his car, Marcus thought about that night 2 years ago, Jesus appearing, showing him the rich man's torment, demanding he choose. Thank you, Marcus prayed quietly. Thank you for appearing, for showing me I was on the path to destruction, for giving me a chance to actually follow you, not just religious performance, but real sacrificial love. Thank you for my brother, for Tyler, for everyone you've put in my path to help. Keep changing me, make me more like you. And as he drove to help another person in need, Marcus felt something he'd never felt in all his years of wealth accumulation, genuine fulfillment, real purpose. The deep satisfaction of following Jesus not just in words, but in actions. He'd lost his obsession with wealth, but he'd gained something infinitely more valuable, a Christ-like heart. And he'd saved his own soul by finally caring for the least of these. The story of the rich man and Lazarus in Luke 16 is one of Jesus's most stark warnings, not about general sin, specifically about wealth and poverty, about ignoring the suffering of the poor while living in luxury. The rich man isn't condemned for being rich. He's condemned for doing nothing while Lazarus suffered at his gate. Marcus's story represents thousands of comfortable Christians who give to charity but never actually encounter the poor, who tithe faithfully but walk past homeless people without helping, who support ministries from a distance but never get their hands dirty with actual suffering. We've created a version of Christianity where you can be wealthy, comfortable, and blessed while ignoring the poor and still call yourself faithful, where you can quote scripture about stewardship while walking past people starving on your street. But Jesus was clear. Whatever you did not do for one of the least of these, you did not do for me. Matthew 25-45. Not, whatever you didn't donate to, whatever you didn't do. Action, personal, direct. If you're wealthy and comfortable, and if you're reading this, you probably are by global standards. Here's the question. When was the last time you actually helped a poor person, not donated to a charity, actually fed a hungry person, actually clothed someone naked, actually invited a stranger in. But I give to charities. Yes, good, but that's not what Jesus asked. He asked if you fed him when he was hungry. Him personally, which happens when you feed actual poor people, not institutions that help the poor, but actual human beings in need. Marcus tithed $320,000 annually. By any standard, incredibly generous. But he walked past his starving brother twice a day. His giving was a way to avoid actually encountering poverty to salve his conscience while never being inconvenienced. That's not faithfulness. That's Pharisaical religion, following rules while missing the heart of God's commands. But I can't help every homeless person. No one's asking you to. But can you help one? Can you know their name? Can you actually see them as humans made in God's image rather than problems to avoid? But they'll just use money for drugs. Maybe. But how is that different from the rich man's excuse for ignoring Lazarus? He's probably lazy. He made poor choices. Not my problem. Jesus didn't say, I was hungry and you made sure I wasn't going to waste the food. He said, I was hungry and you fed me, but I work hard for my money. So did Marcus. And he's right, he did earn it. But Jesus never said, if you work hard, you can ignore the poor. He said, to whom much is given, much is required. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most of us are far closer to the rich man than we want to admit. We live in luxury while people suffer. We give a little to feel better, but not enough to actually sacrifice. We encounter poverty and find excuses to walk past, and we call it faithfulness. Marcus learned the hard way. You can't serve both God and money. You can't claim to follow Jesus while ignoring the poor. You have to choose. If you have a homeless family member, a brother, sister, parent, child, hear this clearly. Ignoring them is sin. Tough love that means, I don't want to be inconvenienced, isn't love. It's abandonment disguised as boundaries. Should you enable addiction? No. Should you give money that will be used for drugs? Probably not. But should you ignore their existence while you live in comfort? Absolutely not. There's a middle ground, help that's actual help, rehab, housing, food, medical care, support, relationship, being present even when it's hard. Marcus could have helped Daniel years ago. He had resources. He chose not to because it would have been inconvenient, and he nearly lost his soul because of it. Don't make his mistake. If you have a suffering family member, help them. Sacrificially, consistently, with real resources, not just prayers. And if you don't have a suffering family member, look around. They're everywhere, on your streets, in your city, people made in God's image, starving while you feast. What will you do? Walk past like the rich man, or stop and help like the Good Samaritan? Because Jesus is clear, how you treat the poor is how you treat him, and that has eternal consequences not just for them, but for you. Choose wisely. Your soul depends on it.
Subscribe to Tales of God's Grace for more true miracles and stories of redemption. Your support helps us reach and restore families around the world. Don't forget to tag a friend and share this video, so together we can spread faith, love, and healing where it's needed most.